and welcome to another episode of Women Empowerment Series video podcast. This is a podcast where I showcase amazing and wonderful ladies in Malaysia, and I am honored and delighted to have Dr. Tini Zainudin as my guest for today. Hi, Dr. Tini, how are you?
Hi, Farisha. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah,
I'm good.
I'm honored to have you in my podcast series today. It's an honor to have you on my show.
Well, no, it's same here. I'm excited to be here today and to be part of this. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Okay, so without further ado, can you introduce us more about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Tini Zainudin. I am a child activist in Malaysia, single mom. I am the co-founder of Yayasan Chowkit, which is an NGO here in Malaysia that works with marginalized and vulnerable children to try to provide basic needs and services to whatever it is that they need in order to be able to survive and thrive in this country. I'm also the Vice President for Voice of the Children. And right now, I am speaking to you from my office. I'm a consultant with the Malaysian Red Crescent Society, Bulan Sabit, looking at strategy and resource mobilization. So yeah, but my kids at home obviously call me mom. I'm nobody when I get home. I'm just mommy.
Okay, and the next question, what is the biggest challenges that you face in your career and how do you overcome it? How do you overcome the challenges?
Well, I think there are two. One is the balancing, which I think most women and mothers have, which is balancing the work, personal space,
and kids,
environment, trying to manage the both because it's so difficult. I'm in the middle of a meeting, or my mother will call me, or my kids will call me, or I have to do homework, or so there's the guilt thing and trying to manage time. That's one. But I think the challenge for me is also I get very, very personally involved in the cases that I work with in terms of my work as a child activist. So I get so many cases. I get very, very involved. It was funny because right before I was talking to you, I was doing some work, but then I clicked on a link that I had to photos, and and I saw some of the faces of the kids that I knew who passed away. So I get very emotionally attached to the children, and I get very personally involved in cases. So that's another one of my challenge, to be able to sort of distance myself and just do what needs to get done. But it's never, because it has to be a little bit more when you're working with children who have needs. So my challenge, I think, is just like anybody else. It's that life-work balance, getting personally involved or not personally involved enough, working late hours, trying to do what most mothers, I think, and most women and men do as well. But yeah.
Okay, and the next question, who are the most inspirational idol in Malaysia and also internationally?
Oh my God, you've asked a hard question. I mean, usually like with international, who comes to mind would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who just passed away, who was the first Supreme Court, not first, she's not the first, she was the second Supreme Court judge who just passed away, but she was amazing. We happen to have one thing in common. We went to the same university in America. So she's like my women empowerment, justice person who just suffers nothing, and I love her. I have a pin, which I'm not wearing right now, calling I Dissent, and she so sums up who I am as a person. My favorite women in Malaysia, oh my God, there are a few. There's Hannah Yeoh. I love her grit and determination. God, so many, Angel Fernandez. I mean, there's so many of my friends. But yeah, those are the ones who come to mind. There are too many in Malaysia. And there's amazing women here in Malaysia. And they don't necessarily have to be older, but they do like the most incredible work. So yeah.
Yeah, I love YB Hannah Yeoh. She's amazing. And what I love about her, she quickly turun padang.
Yeah.
People, she turun padang, and she addressed the issue very promptly. Yeah, I love YB Hannah.
She's articulate. She really cares. She's so passionate about children. She turun padang. She does the homework. She doesn't know she asked. She doesn't know she asked many people. And she doesn't suffer fools lightly. Like she's like, I think I have this thing for like grit and going despite the odds, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg or Hannah Yeoh. Or I mean, just this incredible, passionate, focused good people.
And the next question, what is your advice for the youth out there, for our future generation, our Gen Y and millennials?
I'd say be bold, try, dare to dream, try things out, and boldly, look at all the options and speak up. I think it's very important, especially now, to be not just kind and good, but to be bold and to try new things, especially when you're young and even when you're older. But I think when you're young, there's nothing like grit, determination, and curiosity. And imagination that will take you really far in life. And you need that right now. We need those kind of people. So that's what I'd say.
I like it when you say grit, because I think grit is an important trait to have, because you need to have resilience. You need grit, because life will be, up and down. We will be challenged by, different types of obstacles, and the grit, the resilience is what's going to help us to go further in life, right?
Yeah, for sure. Grit's my new four-letter word, especially this year, simply because it's been so tough and you have to go beyond expectations. And we all need that resilience and grit. So yeah, that's my new four-letter word this year.
Okay, and another question that I want to ask you, what is your current project that you're currently working on at the moment?
My personal project right now is I'm working on the Children's Health Fund. And what it is it's a fund that's set up for critically ill children who may or may not have funds to be able to access health services, who are poor. And there's so many reasons why. But the most important is that all the critically ill child I knew who needed access to services in Malaysia all died. Because for a number of reasons, and it just broke my heart. It's something that me and Dr. Vic, who is an oncologist and medical officer, who's now doing his specialty thing in Dublin, have been working on. But we've been working on this for 3 years. It's going to be a new program under Yayasan Chowkit. We just secured our first international partner who's going to help us. And hopefully we get to help about 20 sick children a month starting next year. And try to make sure that they have a quality of life. It doesn't mean if you're critically ill and you have a below 10% prognosis that you're going to die. And I think what's important is that we provide them with all the options to be able to live a life that's the best that possibly can happen. And the idea that any child should wait 5 months or be denied access to services because you're not Malaysian or you don't have insurance or you're poor just boggles my mind. So that's my heart project. And it's going to be a program under Yayasan Chowkit for now. Okay. So that's what I'm working on.
Yes, so that's amazing, Dr. Tini. And how can the public help you? Like, how can, potential donors and those who are interested to contribute and help out in CSR, how can they reach out to you directly?
So we're going to set up a crowdfunding component, which is one of the financial models. But of course, if any corporate wants to give money, you can donate funds. We have tax exemption at Yayasan Chowkit. Or if you want to invest, we want to see how we can expand it and to get all the resources available. It's not just about money, it's in kind. So I just, wrote to Mattel and said, do you have any dolls and, matchbox cars that you can donate to sick children, or stuffed toys, or, different games and things that they can have.
Yeah.
So let's see. So it's not just money, it's in kind as well.
So it can be in a form of toys, some books,
volunteers,
volunteer work. And
I think that grit thing is important. The idea of grit and resilience and being bold. Don't be scared. Now's the time to try out different things. I think that everybody has a duty and obligation to try to do good, and do good doesn't have to be big things. Do good is just a small thing. Smiling in the morning, my mother always says, is a good thing to start off with. Something that cheers another person up, so that we don't just think about ourselves, because we have to do that all the time. I think it's important. And there's simple things. So I try to do something good for someone else in the morning. And so I try with a smile in the morning with my mom, because I'm always grumpy. I have to go to work. But, you know, it's a simple thing like saying hello to someone you don't know, or don't know, or haven't spoken to in a long time, or helping someone who asks you to help, or, you know, just saying something nice to someone else. I think it's important. But of course, you know, so many are in need because of COVID-19. So many have been sick. So many people have lost their jobs. Yeah. Children have no food. There's so many things I think we can do to help. So try different things, do different things, be creative, expand your horizon, be bold for change. That's important.
Okay. And another thing that I wanted to ask you is on stateless children in Malaysia, because I've been following your Facebook and also Instagram. Okay, so what is your take on the stateless children in Malaysia, and how much work has been done, for this issue? Because I know
well, there are different groups, I think, and different parents and families who've been working on the issue for a long, long time. It's not just me. So DRA, for example, which is another NGO, has been doing work on stateless communities for more than 25 years. You know, we at YCK, for example, have been doing work on statelessness in terms of looking at childhood statelessness and the fact that there's no documentation. And so we've been doing it for a long time, 12 years, 13 years. But I think it's about coming together and looking at the cases and looking at different ways in which we address the issue. I think education is one of the big things that we need to focus on that we haven't, because it's tied to a very sensitive topic, actually two sensitive topics. One is adoption and adopting a child illegally by falsifying documents. That could also lead to statelessness, and baby dumping. So if you find a child who has no documents, then the child is stateless. And there's so many categories of statelessness. So we need to educate the public on the different ways in which a child becomes stateless. Marrying someone abroad and having a child and not registering your child here is also a way for you to be at risk at statelessness. The government not giving citizenship to a child just because one parent is Malaysian or both parents are Malaysian because they registered and got married abroad is something that you need to look at as well. And it's very serious because it impacts the identity of a child, the fact that they are not recognized as a citizen and therefore they don't get to enjoy all the benefits and services and programs and you know, anything that's out there that is open to Malaysian citizens, not being able to go to school, not having access to health services, being at risk of detention, which is another big, huge issue we're looking at. This is really important. And the fact that a child feels that they don't belong to any country, I think is the worst feeling in the world. And it's a protection issue. It's a huge protection issue. It's your first line of defense about ensuring that a child has, you know, we know who the child is and that the government and the country recognizes them. So
really important.
It's a huge issue. And of course, it's personal as well. Yeah.
It's really important because in my personal opinion, I think when the child grows up and reach the legal age of 18 and then they want to register for college or university, they need proper documentation, you know, to enter university, enter colleges. So we need to help, you know, the children, especially those who are stateless, to have proper documentation so they can register for university. And then they can work and they can be employed. So this is really, really.
But you can't get a job, you can't leave. Yeah. And you can't leave the country, you can't open a bank account, you can't get a passport, and that risk of detention is really scary. So
yeah. And this is why I really admire the work that you do, Dr. Tini, because I've been following you on social
media. Thank you.
And so amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we've come to the end of the show. And for those of you who would like to follow Dr. Tini Zainudin, okay, so you are on Facebook, Hartini Zainudin, and Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay, so you can chat with Dr. Tini.
Follow me.
She's on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and also Facebook. And it's an honor to chat with you today, Dr. Tini, on my podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I would like to know, what is the website for those of us who are watching this right now who would like to know more about AIS? Okay.
So it's www.yck.org.my.
And you are open to donations and also, for example, books. They can be in the form of
Yeah,
books,
yeah,
toys for the
yeah,
children. And what
yeah,
else can
yeah.
people donate to the center?
Well, now for COVID-19, because our centers are closed, it's more in terms of volunteering for, well, you need to call me and then we'll have to talk about that. But you can also donate food and clothes for the kids as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Tini.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.